Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Collaboration Conversations. I'm your co-host, Regina Partain-Bergman. If you followed the show at all, you know that my co-host, Pearl Cox, is unable to be with us right now, and not sure when she's going to be back on air. So we are having guest co-hosts, and this has been so much fun. Even when Pearl gets back, we're going to continue this because it's just too much fun, and I get to meet so many amazing people. So, my guest co host this morning is Cody Hill of Cody Hill Coaching. And Cody, I'm going to let you really share with folks what it is that you do. So, would you give us a little intro to you and a little bit of your journey here, who you serve and why? And then would you introduce your panelists for today?
Yeah, I'd love to. Thanks, Regina, for having me on today. I'm really excited for this conversation with you all. Yeah, so my name is Cody Hill. I love people and I love business. I got my undergrad in business with an emphasis in ethics, and then I went ahead and finished up my MBA. And throughout that time, I helped start a couple different businesses, from coffee shops to some nonprofit organizations. And when I was done with my MBA program, I did what every good MBA student does, which is I got a job in corporate finance. And I love working in finance because I really love the power behind the numbers within a business. But I also really love small business, and I really love working with people and networking and building relationships. And so I decided to take a jump into the coaching field to bring both of those loves together, both of those passions together. And so I specialize in helping small businesses implement business strategies into their business to ensure that it's not consuming their life. And I also help them understand, not everybody is going to own their business or want to stay in the same business forever. And so positioning them with an exit strategy and a plan, or at least putting them in place to be able to exit if and when they want to, and get the most out of their business at that time. So those are kind of my 1-2 punches. And
Awesome. I
then
love it.
and then I'm going to go through and allow our guests here to share a little bit about who they are. And so, Matt, would you mind starting?
Sure. Thanks, Cody. Thanks, Regina, for having me on. It's really an honor to be here with such a robust panel. I'm Matt Tebow. I'm with the Kansas Business Group on Health, and I'm a Wichita native. Have been born and raised here. I went to school at WSU. What I studied in college is only sort of tangentially related to what I do on a day-to-day basis, both in my day-to-day job, and then also my wife and I own a real estate investing company. So I went to school actually for exercise science. I did my undergrad and master's degrees in exercise science and did a certificate in public health in grad school. I thought my whole life that I was going to be administering a worksite wellness program at a certain organization. So worksite wellness is an initiative that employers undertake to try to keep their employees healthy as a way to not only improve the quality of life for their employees, but also try to save some costs on the back end by minimizing healthcare needs in the future. And so I thought I was going to be doing that forever. I went to school. All of my studies were focused on worksite wellness and how to administer a good program. And then when I got out of college for grad school, that lasted all of 3 years. And so I found myself at a different location, still doing health-related work. Now I work for the Kansas Business Group on Health, like I mentioned, which is an affiliate of the Medical Society of Sedgwick County. And what we do at the Kansas Business Group on Health is we look to improve the health outcomes for people with diabetes, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol. And then we also work with employers to help them manage the benefits and the insurance that they provide to their employees, again, to try to help them reduce the cost of delivering those benefits. On the quality improvement side, we have a lot of collaborations, and I think we'll get into this later, but a lot of collaborations with providers in Wichita, employers, community groups. I'm involved with several nonprofit organizations here in Wichita and very passionate about a couple of certain topics in certain areas. And so we collaborate a ton, both inside of work and outside of work. So with that, I'll leave it there, and I'll let the next person carry the baton.
Awesome. Welcome,
Yeah, that's
Matt.
great. Yeah, we're really glad you're here, Matt. Troy, do you mind going next?
Sure, assuming everyone can hear me now, that'd be yes. Big yeses on that. Yeah, my name is Troy Tabor. I'm currently the director for the Center of Entrepreneurship at WSU, and I started that in January of this year. My background is really in software. Been a web developer since the late 80s, early 90s, different types of code, as well as hardware too, so networks and infrastructure, and was the CTO for a pretty nice sized manufacturing company for a while. And over the years, since I'm a web developer, everybody says, "Hey, can you build this for me?" And I'm like, "Well, I won't make it pretty, but I can make it work." And so I've been doing that since the 90s. And so I've been able to start up several companies through that. The biggest one is logolounge.com, which has been running since 2001. We went through all the .com busts, and somehow we're still here. But I really enjoy taking the experiences that I found and the experiences with communication or with discussions with other entrepreneurs throughout the years, and just being a cheerleader for those that are the creatives today that are really trying to make it, that they're willing to put in the time and effort to create something new in a new business, as well as those that are transforming themselves in businesses they already have and maybe looking at new product lines and stuff. So that's what I love doing. I just like sharing my experiences with them and maybe trying to get them the next one or two steps along on their journeys.
Fantastic.
Thanks, Troy. I'm super glad you can make this time. And Jason, would you mind sharing a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, of course. So my name is Jason Lavender. I'm born and raised in Wichita, Kansas. I had a 25-year career in construction. I ran a remodeling company and loved what I did. I saw the writing on the wall, though. I just was not, I didn't want to continue. I was a very hands-on, so I had a great team, but I was still climbing ladders every day. I knew that I needed to get off the ladder and out of the trenches. And so in 2017, I started my real estate journey. I'm a real estate investor. I own several real estate related businesses. We primarily focus on the Wichita market with house flipping. We have wholesaling business as well. We have a good long-term rental portfolio, and we've got a short-term Airbnb portfolio as well. I love collaboration. I actually run a real estate mentor group, and so that's been a very thriving group, and I love the collaboration effect of that. I mean, real estate really is an incubator for collaboration, in my opinion. I've had traditional partnerships in business before, and I prefer the collaborative effect of, in real estate, we oftentimes call it a joint venture. It is a opportunity to work with other people on a specific project for a specific outcome, a specific duration, and that really suits my needs. And so I collaborate all the time. I love doing so. I love the people that I get to meet. This is how I met you, Cody, is through real estate pursuits. And so, yeah, I love what I do. I wake up every day and enjoy the spontaneity of the day and the different things that I get to go do, and the people that I get to honestly get to hang out with and help people achieve their goals. So, yeah, it's a little bit about me.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
thanks, Jason. Again, I know you're on the road today during this time, and I'm really glad that you could make time for this.
Yeah, of course.
Fantastic. And the good news is, Jason, you're not driving in Houston traffic while you're doing this.
I'm in rural Kansas.
I know. I love it up there.
Pretty soon I'm not going to see any cars.
Yeah, I know. I lived in the Texas Panhandle for over 20 years. So, yeah, I love that area up there. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So, did you all pretty much meet through real estate? I mean, that sounds like kind of a common thread for most of you. No, Cody's shaking his head. No, Cody, how did this come about?
So I met Matt through Jason's real estate group, and so then we connected and got coffee, and kind of connected on business, connected on life, family, belief systems, those sort of things. And so he's been an awesome resource for me as far as me just starting my real estate endeavors. And so he's been a huge help in that. Same with you, Jason. And then I met Troy through a mutual friend of ours who works at a marketing agency here in town. And so I was meeting with them, and they were like, hey, you should, with all the stuff you're trying to do, you should talk to Troy. He's an entrepreneur at heart. And so we got connected that way. So
Fantastic.
hi, Anita.
And now we have Anita.
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. 2 technical issues, but I'm here.
We're glad you made it, Anita.
Anita, we've just gone through kind of all introducing ourselves. Would you, and what we do, and a little bit about kind of our journey to how we got to the point that we are within our different respective businesses and endeavors. Would you mind introducing yourself and sharing a little bit about what you do, who you are, how you've arrived at where you are today?
Okay. So my name is Anita Greenwood. I'm an executive coach and a growth strategist. I have my own company called Powerhouse Leaders, and I work with mid to senior level leaders and business owners to develop a powerhouse mindset, powerhouse teams, and develop amazing results. I would say that's it in a nutshell. Have a background in the corporate world and really figured out that there weren't many people when I needed help to be the leader I wanted to be. There weren't many people who were there who looked like me, sounded like me, or who thought like me. And so I decided at some point I needed to be that person, and that's why I created my company and coach people today.
Very cool. I'm so glad that you're here, Anita. I'm glad that you can make it and contribute to this collaborative effort today. So
thank you.
So Cody, how did you and Anita meet?
We met through Jason in his office a couple weeks ago. So yeah, we connected on different elements of coaching, right? Anita, you focus on the leadership development and teamwork, and I focus on the strategies of growing in revenue and growing in systems. And so I think we have very complementary services that we offer.
Do I hear a collaboration coming? What might that look
hopefully
like?
Yeah, I think Jason, you and Anita have had some opportunities to collaborate already, and so I'm just kind of riding on the coattails of that and dreaming and scheming about what we could do. How did you guys connect and meet?
Anita and I?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what was that? 3 years ago?
It was at the beginning. I'll start how we met. Was we were in a what's it called? A mastermind group.
We were in a mastermind together.
Yeah, we were in the same mastermind group for small business owners, and so that was how we got introduced. And we were all on Zoom because of COVID. And so Jason and I met in that group, and then decided to connect after the group, and that was how it began.
Cool.
Yeah, Anita got me straightened out 3 years ago. I was a mess. Honestly, I'll toot Anita's horn all the day long. Yeah, and Cody, same working with you. But yeah, it's been tremendous. I think it was 3 years ago, Anita.
Yeah.
Very cool. And so how did you guys come up with the idea? Because, just a couple of weeks ago, Anita, you put on a training time. It was a Friday and a Saturday together. What kind of conversations led to that? How did that come about?
You mean with Jason and I?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Jason has I don't know if he mentioned this, but he has like a group that he leads. And one day he said to me, I'd love you to do what you did for me for them. And I was like, oh, like how do you condense like 100 conversations into a day, And so I was up for the challenge. And so we talked about how we might make that happen. And it ended up being a wonderful day, actually, just bringing a bunch of people in. Jason graciously offered it as part of their program, on top of what he was already offering, which was a huge example of collaboration on his part, actually, the fact that he wanted to help raise the level of everyone in his group. And so we just sat down at a cafe and over a cup of coffee decided what that might look like. And then I got back home and took out my block and started writing and then created a one-day workshop for everybody. And it was collaborative in the sense that they all got to connect at a different level. These are people who knew each other, but the connections that they made that day and the collaborations actually that have come from that have been incredible. So it's just been, I always think that you sow a seed and then there's another seed and another seed, and it just keeps on going like that. It's like a snowball that it just keeps getting bigger.
If I'm not mistaken, Matt, you were at that, right?
I was. It was a fantastic workshop. It was one of those things that I never even thought about the concepts really that Anita taught us that day until that. I mean, it was just one of those paradigm shifting, mindset shifting type trainings. It was awesome.
I have a question. Was collaboration part of the curriculum of how to collaborate? Was that part of the curriculum that day, Anita?
I'm trying to think. I mean, it was more a methodology than an outcome, if you will.
Gotcha.
But obviously the people going in were already collaborating. They got to know each other better through it because I did a lot of teamwork, and they even had to make a puzzle together for one thing. I mean, that sounds like a crazy thing to get people to do, especially when you give them puzzles that have got 48 pieces that say 8-5, Sounds a crazy thing to get people to do, but it encourages collaboration. So, like I say, it was inherent to the principle behind it, even if it wasn't a declared outcome.
Awesome.
Hey, Troy, to kind of bring you into this some more, I think you are somebody who is connected across so many different niches of business and politics and people, and your connections and your dreams for the Center for Entrepreneurship. And I've really been kind of, I guess I could say, fed and encouraged by our times over coffee and dreaming and scheming about how we could collaborate and work together in encouraging and building up the entrepreneur side here in Wichita from the center, focused in and outwardly. What are some things that you dream of or think about when it comes to collaborating for the sake of the entrepreneur, I guess, community here in Wichita?
Thank you for that question. Could have a long response, but I'll keep it as short as I can. So there's a lot of pretty amazing, focused people that are in Wichita and the area that are really trying to help in so many ways. There's obviously the programs that are out there. There's mentors. There's community events. There's ecosystem events. There's places like Nexus and Groover Labs and Center for Entrepreneurship, and we're all focused in different ways. What I envision us doing is simply doing what we're doing here on this call, and getting those that are interested in helping, collaborating, building greater things for the community, for each other, and just seeing us all, rise, is what I hope to continue to facilitate. But it's not just me; it's everyone. So getting us maybe a few more events where people like us can get together, and all the entrepreneurs that go through the center and the different programs that are all offered by those that are here. I just want to see that keep growing. As far as the center's concerned, we're a great location. It's got a cool name. It's been around for a long time, since the late 80s. I'd offer up definitely space to have those kind of collaborations or conversations, or even programs if you want. So right now, I just started it within the last year. My focus is with startups from kind of idea through launch, as well as for those that are looking to digitally upscale their businesses. I work with small businesses to help them digitally upscale because my background kind of helps me do that pretty easy. But I'd like to see us grow that offering as well, and allow a lot more, or bring in a lot more people like those that are here to talk about not just technology, but just mindsets, experiences, things to look out for, and people to know. I feel like there's a lot of room for that, and I'd like to see that grow a lot.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thanks for.
And go ahead, Cody.
Oh, I was just saying, thanks for sharing.
Yeah, and if I could just add in here, I love that you have this Center for Entrepreneurship. What a great idea. That is awesome.
Yep.
And you said it's been around for a long time?
Yep. Fran Jabera started it in the late 80s. He was one of the entrepreneur professors at Wichita State University. He had a grand idea to create a local place where everyone in the community could come together really to collaborate. There's a lot of people that just didn't know what to do. And he wanted to help, and he brought a lot of people in. Let's see here. There was probably a dozen different groups and people that started it. Tom Devlin. Devlin Hall is what the name of the building is that I'm in. It's kind of like a black glass, beautiful cheese wedge that's right next to the football stadium at Wichita State University. I don't think anybody likes it on campus when I call it the cheese wedge. So, oh well. But yeah, it was definitely setting up a lot of businesses for the future, and we've had 40 plus businesses start that have been doing very well over the last couple decades. So, Pizza Hut and such being some of it.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. Hey, Matt. So when I think of you, I think of somebody who's willing to share his knowledge, his resources, his experiences, whether it's in real estate, you sharing, hey, we learned this on the foundation of this house, and now I know what to look for, watch out for it in the future, or here's a spreadsheet that I find really helpful. I think from a technical standpoint, you're super collaborative, and from a relational standpoint, I run into people all the time that know you, Matt. I don't know if I've told you that, but I run into people kind of concentrically. Is that the right word? Like outward? That's probably not the right word. But kind of outside of even the real estate world, who know you and are aware of kind of what you're doing here in the city. So would you like to share a little bit more about how you use collaboration from in your daily grind at work, as well as maybe some of the other stuff like Walk Bike Wichita and that kind of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. So we always say, or joke, or however you want to put it, that we can't do anything by ourselves. Everything we do is collaboration. If we just worked with the team that I have, we would get nothing done, because everything we do requires other people to work with us. And so in my day-to-day job with the Kansas Business Group on Health, we do, in order to improve health outcomes for those three conditions I mentioned earlier, diabetes, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol, we do that primarily through doing sort of quality improvement projects within primary care offices or other medical provider offices. And it takes collaboration from the very beginning all the way to the end. So even just getting a clinic to want to partner with us takes collaboration. It takes collaboration on the part of the administrator of that clinic. It takes collaboration on the team of doctors in that clinic that have their care teams. It takes the collaboration of their care teams to want to participate in the project that we would do. And then we work very, very closely with the KU School of Medicine. We have a particular physician there who is just a quality improvement savant that we work with to do some of these projects inside of a clinic. And so what we do is we go in and we work with the team to identify what their current processes are, where there might be choke points or bottlenecks, and then we work with the entire team to develop what a potential strategy could be, and then we present that strategy to them. And so we could not, it would literally be impossible to do that by ourselves. If we just came in and said, hey, we have a good idea, slammed a big binder on their desk and said, this is how things are done now, we would get literally nowhere. And so collaboration is the key tenet in all the work that we do through the Kansas Business Group on Health. But we also work with a lot of community organizations, both as part of work and then things just that are important to me and people that I am close with that we want to see happen in our community. So I'm a big bicycle commuter, big bicycle rider. As you mentioned, Cody, I'm involved with an amazing organization called Bike Walk Wichita here in Wichita, which serves to provide equitable infrastructure, provide, how do I want to put this? We create a community in which walking and biking is emphasized, it's safe, and it's equitable for everybody that wants to participate. And so when we do this, we engage with all sorts of people. We have what we call our recycle shop, where people can come in and bring in their bikes to fix. We fix up bikes for people who are experiencing homelessness, for kids, for people that come in and volunteer a certain amount of hours. And so we partner with United Way. We partner with people from the community that bring in bikes that we can repair, that we then fix up to a near perfect condition, and then we can give those out. We couldn't do any of that without the partners that we collaborate with to bring the bikes in, the people that come in and volunteer their time to fix up the bikes. And then, like any nonprofit, we're always looking to fundraise. And so we just actually bought a building about a month ago, a big building across the street from the Wave that we're really excited about. And so now we're collaborating with all sorts of partners that have different skill sets to go out, tap their networks on who we can try to engage to raise funds for the cause that we believe is important.
That's phenomenal.
Very
Absolutely.
cool.
Yes. Wow. What do you all look for? Oh, go ahead, Cody.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was going to say, what do you
Go
all
ahead,
look
Regina.
for? What's an ideal collaborative partner for you? What are you looking for in partners? Anybody?
Well, I would just start and say that both parties are coming together with a win-win attitude. You can't have somebody coming to the table that's looking to take advantage of the other person, or who's looking to maximize their own gain or their own benefit over the other person's. So I think the key in the foundation of any collaborative partnership is that you have to come in acknowledging that you're going to maybe give up some of the things that you want to get out of a certain project or initiative in order to make sure that the other person can win too.
Nice. Very nice.
I would say a common goal. Obviously have a common purpose of some nature. I mean, everything that Matt's talking about is collaboration based on a common goal. So I think that's really important to be aligned on that. And then it's complementarity. Like when Jason and I come together, I do a lot of the leadership work and the mindset work. And Jason, I don't ask me to flip a house. I would not be the right person. Don't ask me to tell you what to do with a wholesaler. I haven't got a clue. But our skill sets are completely complementary for any entrepreneur who wants to learn how to do something. So for me, it's like the shared purpose, which Jason and I, definitely have in the philosophy we have about helping people grow, and then this complementarity of skill sets and mindsets, I guess.
Absolutely. And if I could go back and add something to what Matt said, I think there's a third level of win. I'm always looking for that win-win-win, because as you said, it needs to be a win for the two partners who are coming together, but it needs to be a win for their clients as well, or for whoever it is that they impact. Yeah. How about Jason? What do you look for in a collaborative partner?
I would echo Nita's sentiment, and I mean Matt as well. But yeah, looking for like-minded, and I like very much so the complementary aspect of what different people can bring. If everybody's got the exact same skill set, the project is it's not going to be well-rounded, and it's not going to have as much success. But if those involved have complement one another's skill sets, and I talk about this a lot, everybody's got a competitive advantage. So everybody's got things that they are uniquely equipped to bring to the table in any endeavor. Identifying what those are and finding those around that complement, I think is critical. I mean, I've been a part of, I look at it this way, it's great to identify, really the things that work. It's also good to identify, what does bad collaboration look like?
Yeah.
What doesn't work? And so being aware of that. So, bad collaboration is, power struggles, and, there's not this complementary aspect to it. I mean, bad collaboration is, like Matt said, everyone's, looking for their slice of the pie. Bad collaboration, bad partnerships, have a myriad of recipes for disaster. Identifying what bad collaboration looks like and bad partnerships, I think, is maybe just as maybe a precursor to finding out, okay, that's what we don't want. So now let's identify what we do need.
I think that's critically important, Jason. It's a bad collaboration. It can be kind of devastating. And I would add to your list there, having shared values. And if that person doesn't share the same values you have, I would think long and hard about whether or not you're going to get into a collaboration with them.
Yep.
Yeah. Troy, what do you look for in collaborative partners?
Well, that was a pretty amazing list from the other three. I guess what I might add is maybe the willingness to actually invest time and effort and the time to do so. I think all of us are probably working about 23 hours a day right now, doing everything we're doing. And so while, we might have great thoughts and ideas, just the ability to execute on them is important, I think, too. But how you figure that out, I don't know. It's kind of hard unless you know the person or you can get face to face and kind of see their expression when you're having a real conversation. So that, and then the continuous collaboration, maybe not jump into something instantly just because you had a great idea over coffee, but a few more follow-ups and making sure that everybody's on the right, same goals is important.
Yeah, great advice. Everybody's given great advice so far. Cody, how about you? What are you looking for?
It's kind of I think of it as a two-way street, right? I want to add value to the person that I'm looking to collaborate with, and I'm hoping to gain and grow in some way, because I've lived on this earth long enough to realize that I'm not an expert in everything. Through my teenage years, I thought I was, right? I thought I knew everything. And then I got out of high school, college, and life, hits you. You get done with your MBA and you're like, I should be specialized in something. And you're like, I just realized it's the tip of the iceberg. And then getting around people who are experts in their field, like all of you, right? Like, and learning and realizing that maybe I have ideas or concepts or theories or have a grasp on, something very shallowly, not as deep as I thought. And then to run into, wells of knowledge like you all, where you just keep pulling buckets up of more and more knowledge and experience. And so I think an openness to share and I love working with people who don't keep score. I think like what I mean by that is I'm somebody who wants to add value. And if you have a question, it's how I do my coaching too, right? So if I'm coaching somebody, I have this framework and a structure that I can guarantee you, hey, when we implement these strategies into place, you're going to see your bottom line increase. You're going to see your time bought back. But if you express to me, hey, in this moment, here's my biggest need. I thought it was this last week, but right now I'm struggling with this specific area that I wasn't even aware of I was going to be struggling with. I'm willing to pivot and move and adapt. And so I think some adaptability and allowing your collaboration or your work together to shift and to change based on the need in the moment and not just the idea that we had, in the embryonic stages, if you will, of the collaboration.
There's a lot of really good value in that, Cody, because so oftentimes we start down a path and it's not a straight path, right? We think it was going to be straight, but we get going on it and it's not. It's curving all over the place, and you've got to be able to adapt and decide if that's, if you need to go through that curve, or do I need to straighten the path? Do I need to bring it all back together? What's the best for this team? What's the best outcome that we can have? And that's, communication, right? That ability, you've got to be able to collaborate openly, to discuss openly with that collaborative partner any thoughts that you have about it, not hold back, right? You got to put all your cards on the table to make sure that you together go through everything and know that you do have a plan that is going to be successable.
Yeah, that was actually what I was going to say about expectations.
Yes.
And transparency, because if you realize that nobody goes in it, I don't go into collaboration thinking that I'm I go into it with a win-win-win kind of perspective. but you do go into it having to have some expectations of the people you're collaborating with, and you do need to go into it with a sense of being able to hold people accountable too. So it's not as if there are no boundaries, because otherwise I've had situations where people have wanted to collaborate with me, and then I found that actually they wanted to get something that I hadn't understood was part of the plan, because it wasn't part of my plan, it was just part of their plan. So I think open conversations are essential to have that degree of, I guess, openness, but humility, to be willing to embrace changes along the way, and to lean into misunderstandings, because they're the things that can really derail and take what could have been a beautiful partnership or collaboration into, I think, what Jason was saying, and it can turn bad pretty quickly if you don't have those expectations set up front.
That's really good, Anita. What advice do you have for folks who find themselves in a collaboration that is turning out not to be what they thought it was going to be, and they really are trying to figure out whether to stay or whether to go, in this collaboration or keep it going?
Yeah, that was funny. As a coach, I do a lot of those conversations with people in their, either as teams. I do a lot of team culture work, and establishing how you can move together as a team. I think it's also understanding each other's personalities. I use a core values index, which is like personality profiles, understanding that different people think in different ways. And that's great. Just because somebody doesn't think like me means that they're actually a compliment to me and they can help me, as opposed to somebody who's trying to intimidate me or take away my power. And so I think that when something starts to seem as if it might be derailing, that's when I'd stop and ask a question. Open, put the spotlight on the other person and say, is there something I'm not understanding here? Is there something I'm missing? And be very cool, not wait until it gets bad. I would say speak up at the first sign of, when the first red flag comes up, engage the other person or the other people in conversation. Don't wait until it's gone really bad, because it's quite easy to rectify a situation when it's just, let's adjust expectations. Let's understand your perspective, my perspective, we're all good. But if you wait until tempers are high, values have been violated,
can get off the rails pretty quickly then, can't
then
it?
you have to bring in a coach like myself to bring you all together and talk about
I love it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I love doing it, but I'm glad people sometimes do let it derail. But I actually try. I see it a bit like marriage. There's a lot of people who, before they get married, they some create contracts, but they go through things with their church. When I was in the corporate world, I had to do a scope before every project and get it validated, and we all aligned on it. I think that there's a lot of value in having that upfront discussion, so that you know what's going to happen if things, don't go as planned.
Yeah. Do you create any kind of a contract around that? Or
as a coach, I create a contract with any client I have, so they know what the expectations are. So they know that I'm not a consultant or a therapist or, a mentor or whatever. I clarify what I am and what I'm not. When I coach teams, I make sure that they have rules of engagement. Every team I work with creates their rules of engagement. And that might mean the way they operate together, but before I work with them, that's the first thing they do. They establish a common purpose and some rules of engagement. Yeah.
Right. And that is totally collaboration, isn't it, to be on that team?
Yeah. You define what's going to guide the work you do together before you even start.
Right.
You're going to have problems. I mean, we all know, all of us on this call, we know there are problems that are going to happen. So why not plan ahead and expect a problem, and then say what you're going to do when it happens, rather than just be surprised by it.
Yeah. Excellent. Anybody have something to add to that? Cody?
No, I think that's great. I think clear communication from beginning to end is always essential. I think that's why even in my coaching, we have quarterly reviews. And when we meet together each week, I say, hey, I'm always open to feedback. I'm always open to how I can better serve you as a coach. And then hopefully I also have the door open to be able to speak frankly with my clients as well, right?
Yeah.
we're working together because we want to see you win, and so that means sometimes, hey, in this collaborative effort of us working together to see your business grow, right? I'm not just doing it all myself. It's no longer just on your shoulders. It's us kind of working together. Hey, I need to have the room and the space to be able to say, hey, this part really isn't working, or if it's clear, can I speak, frankly right now about an observation that I make or that I see here, for the sake of seeing your business succeed and see you succeed as the person behind it, right? In my podcast with business owners, I say, hey, it's impossible to fully understand the scope of a business without also understanding the dreams, the goals, the vision of the owner who has created that business,
Yeah.
right? Because just because you have a clothing line that you've created doesn't necessarily mean that you 100% are all in on this clothing line, and even the idea of what the clothing line is portraying, right? But there's something about it that you're passionate about, and there's something that you want to see it grow in, and there's something from your experience in your life that's led you to dive into this business. And so what's the motivation there? What's your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And then how can we really focus on those strengths but build those weaknesses to prepare your business to continue to succeed, or to succeed even after you would like to exit? And so I think open communication, clear communication, and removing the emotion out of it, right?
Yeah.
It's so hard to do as a business owner when
Yeah.
it's your baby, right? This
Yeah,
is what I've created.
exactly.
And acknowledging, hey, we might need to work on some things here, and being open to that, I think is huge.
Yeah. Don't call the baby ugly, right?
Yeah. No. There's other word choices that you can use to finesse that.
Yeah, and something I would just add to that, because I completely agree about setting expectations just from mistakes I've made in my life, which I might start my own podcast called Matt's Mistakes or Matt's Mini Mistakes, and it could be like a daily podcast that goes on for years. But when you just got into the real estate business, and I was just kind of trying to figure it out, and that's why I was so glad to get into Jason's real estate group, because I didn't know how to do these things at first. And so when I was first exploring how to do real estate, and I was doing my first project, and I was working with contractors, I didn't set any expectations. I just went in and I said, okay, I want X, Y, and Z done. And I just assumed that they knew how I wanted that done. I assumed that they knew what kind of the time frame was that had that done. And so we didn't sign any contracts. We didn't sign anything. I said, hey, can you do X, Y, Z, and just let me know when it's done. They didn't get started when I thought they would get started. That was my fault. They didn't do it to the way that I wanted it to get done. That was my fault. And it was all because, just like Anita said, and like everybody, Cody, Regina, you said, I didn't set any expectations. We didn't have anything in writing. So why would they have known what I wanted out of that partnership?
They're not mind readers, are they?
Right.
None of us are. Right. Awesome. Troy or Jason, anything to add to that?
No, go ahead, Troy.
Oh, I was just going to say, I don't have anything additional to add. I think that's a brilliant point. It's something that all of us probably have not done right at least once or twice, and expectations are so important, and it's what we all go to towards a goal and whatever we're doing. So, good points, Jason.
Yeah, the only thing I was going to add was, in partnerships and working together, oftentimes, and this I felt this really bad on a partnership I had, and it'll go over into teams pulling together. But if there's not the clear expectations is an absolute given. But if there's not the expectations about when that collaboration, when that partnership, when that business, whatever that is going to end, it's always going to be a hot mess. So laying out the expectations of ideas are great. I mean, I'm ideas all the time. I mean, I just, having ideas and the spark and an impetus of bringing something to life, and then, giving it feet to run on. But if it doesn't have okay, here's the progression of how this is going to go, and here is the outcome, and here's where we'll, either part ways, or the project will be done, or the partnership ends. I mean, planning for the end is not typically how collaborations and partnerships start. They always start with the honeymoon phase, and we never think about, okay, well, here in a little while, we're going to, be on each other's nerves, and we need to have a plan of when the conclusion of this is going to happen. I've experienced that in business as a partnerships, and I've really cautioned people about, getting to partnerships and, without going in with your eyes wide open. Everything can feel hunky-dory, but you need to have an exit plan in place. Anyway, that would be my only other thoughts regarding that, is to know when the conclusion will happen.
I think that's a really good point. And one that we probably most of us overlook. Would you all agree?
Yep.
Definitely.
Yeah, good point, Jason. Awesome. This is fun to get to meet all of you, and exciting to see the wealth of knowledge that you have. Cody, great job. High five on bringing this panel together.
It's all you.
Awesome.
It's all you guys. Yeah.
Awesome. So let's do this. Let's go around the room and have each person give maybe a final thought about collaborations and how people can reach out to you if they'd like to get in touch with you. And Cody, would you run the room for this?
If I could start, Cody, could I start?
Absolutely.
I'm so sorry. I do have a hard deadline, and I've passed it, but yeah, Regina, Cody, thank you so much for having us on. My parting thoughts would be, we are stronger together. As independent as entrepreneurs can be, and as stubborn as we can be, we are better together. The truth is that community, we all crave and desire community, and we need it. And so understanding that fundamentally as an entrepreneur and as a business owner, and that's my world. I mean, but whatever aspect that we're capacity professionally that we're seeking to collaborate or improve or we're better together. That's my point. And we have to understand that, because as we've talked about, we all have different skill sets and weaknesses, strengths, and we're foolish to think or arrogant to think that we don't need people, or that we've got it covered. And I've seen that too many times on entrepreneurs. They don't understand that they can't do it all, and when they try to, they fail miserably, and oftentimes you're just completely frustrated. So that would be my my parting shot. And again, thank you so much for having me on, Cody. I gotta go.
No, that's great. Do you want to leave
Jason.
your contact info if someone's looking to get a hold of you?
Best place to hit me up is on Facebook, Jason Lavender, Wichita, Kansas. I'm on TikTok and Instagram, but I don't even know how to manage those. I got a guy that does that, but hit me up. HarmonyHomebuyer.com is my website. I really do appreciate this conversation. Thanks so much. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yep.
Great to meet you, Jason.
You as well. Thank you.
And I'll send people towards your TikTok to check out your dance moves. So
there's no dancing on there. Thanks, guys.
See you, Jason.
Bye, Jason.
Hey,
No
Matt,
dancing,
would you like to go next?
Sure. Well, Cody, Regina, thank you for having us on. I feel like I learned as much from the other panelists as anybody will get out of this. So thank you for having me on. I'd say the one thing for collaboration wise that I would suggest is to look in the places that you wouldn't normally look. So there's a couple people that have said it today that you need to have complementary skill sets and complementary ways of thinking. So if you always, like I am guilty of doing oftentimes, is I sort of surround myself with people who have similar thoughts and beliefs as me, or have a similar way of thinking about a problem as me. But sometimes the best, or oftentimes the best collaborations come when you look to engage people that you don't normally work with. You turn over those stones of people that you maybe haven't talked to before, or you maybe haven't considered their perspective on your particular situation or problem that you're trying to solve. And so they may be thinking the same thing. And so what I've found also is that many people are very open to collaboration. When I first started working to try to collaborate with people, I was always scared, like, I don't want to bug them. I feel like they're going to be annoyed. Who's this Matt guy that's like hit me up out of the blue? I don't want that. But what I found is people feel kind of honored and like glad that you reached out. They're like, oh, you want to work with me? And I feel the same way. Like when Cody reached out about this, I'm like, ooh, me? Oh, clutching my pearls. Like, oh, I can't believe this. Like, oh. And it was great. And so I had a great time today. And every time I've had a collaboration with somebody that I haven't worked with before, our relationship got stronger. And it also kind of expanded our circle of influence and what we could do together by bringing our two worlds together. So that's the main thing I'd say.
Fantastic.
And how can people get a hold of you?
So I'm a bit of a social media curmudgeon. I'm not real big on social media, but I do have a Facebook account. I don't check it regularly, but if I do see the notifications and the messages, so that'd probably be the best way to hit me up on there. I don't know if we're giving out phone numbers or email addresses. I'd
Whatever
be happy to
you
do that. But so you can reach me at matt.thibault, matt.thibault@yahoo.com is the main email address I check, and then feel free to hit me up on Facebook, and I'll get back to you when I see your message. Thanks.
Awesome.
Anita, would you mind going next?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the key takeaway for me for collaboration is it's not a coincidence. It's really a strategy that must be built with intention. I didn't know that early in my career, and I had to learn the hard way. Like, everybody's talked about that I couldn't do everything. I didn't have all the skills. So now I really encourage people to not only leverage the teams they have, but intentionally and strategically seek out collaboration and experiment. Know that not everybody you contact is going to be amazing. That's okay. I always say you have to kiss a lot of frogs before you meet a handsome prince. That's the strategy with collaboration too. Just don't take me literally, obviously, but go out and kiss a few frogs. It's great. You'll learn something and you'll meet some amazing people. I've met some people I don't necessarily collaborate with, but I've got a way broader network than I ever had before through that willingness to just go and chat to people like Matt says, who's different from me. You'll rarely see me with somebody who looks like me, sounds like me, does the same work as me. I always see collaboration with people who are different because they challenge me. And I'm like, ooh, I'd never have thought that way. And then I know that I'm growing, and that's what makes me excited. And so I love doing that. So that's really, collaboration is a strategy, is the bottom line. How you can reach me is, I guess, two ways. I'm on LinkedIn. As I'm an executive coach, I get connected a lot on LinkedIn. So my name is Anita Greenwood, and you can just simply find me there, Anita Greenwood. And then my company is called Powerhouse Leaders, and my website is www.powerhouse-leaders.com. So would love to talk to anybody who would like to grow in their leadership or with their teams. That would be amazing. And thank you for having me. It's been great to get the inspiration from everybody here today.
Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. We're glad you're here.
Definitely.
Troy, any parting thoughts?
Sure. I just want to say I feel like I'm sitting with giants here on this. So I really much appreciate and humbled by even being invited. So thank you for that. It's hard to continue on or to add to what's already been added or talked about, but I guess I would say I really look into looking into servant leadership in everything I do, and really keeping an understanding that what we're doing is we're creating value for those around us in our community, including when we collaborate. So what we bring of value to that collaboration is important. How we're affecting the community and those around us, and the customers for whatever the collaboration is for, is important. And at the end of the time, we're all growing, and so certainly being open to growth and not, as Matt had mentioned, think that we know everything, because we don't. We know 0.001% is what I like to say, and just always learning, always meeting new people, always finding new things that are exciting, and being that kind of person for those around us. As far as connecting with me, my email address that I've had forever is just Troy Tabor, TROYTABOR @gmail.com. And on LinkedIn, it's also Troy Tabor as well.
Awesome.
Thanks again, everybody.
Again, thanks for being here too. Mr.
And
Cody.
if it's okay for me to add, I do have a LinkedIn. Sorry to jump back in, but I do have a LinkedIn. Everybody mentioned that, so I wanted to throw that out there too. And also, since I'm one of the like 10 Yahoo email addresses that still exist out in the world, you can email me there or find me on LinkedIn. So sorry to interrupt. Thank you.
It took everything in me to not go Yahoo. As a throwback. Yeah, I think this has been great. Everything that you all have added is spot on. And I even think what I love is the collective mind coming together to the collaborative mind coming together to discuss the topic of collaboration. We're all going to have different perspectives and point of views and even life experiences that have led us to our conclusions and our final thoughts here, right? And so
Right.
I think the to add to build off of the amazing foundation you all have shared as far as collaboration goes, I think the key element to collaboration is being an effective listener. I think, I grew up in the public school system learning how to, okay, here's how you be an active listener, right? To make it seem like you're listening. Oh, nod. Yep. But to be an active listener and then to be an effective listener, I think are two very different things. I think to be an effective listener, you have to develop empathy. I know not everybody has that skill set, but I think it's a character trait and a quality that's required if you're going to, one, help people grow and really solve problems. And that's what I love doing is I love meeting with business owners, entrepreneurs, people with ideas. And I say, how's business? Tell me about your experiences, and then just listen, right? Because you get keys, you learn about people's pain points, you learn about their successes, you learn about what they care about, right? And so then that helps build your relationship, it builds your trust, it builds your knowledge, it helps establish their knowledge, you gain some expertise and perspective, and it helps me leave that conversation a different person, right? And so to even come in here with all of you today and to discuss this idea of collaboration and what it looks like and our own takes on it and our own experience, kind of like you said, Troy, it's elevated me and my understanding of collaboration and has gotten me thinking with added value to what I would have come in here with my own ideas or my own handful of thoughts on collaboration. So I just want to say thank you as someone who is trying to not just actively listen on here, but effectively listen. I really appreciate you all coming and opening up today.
Awesome. Yeah, this has been wonderful. And, yes, it's a very different conversation, Cody, than if it were just you and I having the conversation, right? It's totally a different conversation. I'm not sure how many of these shows I've done now, but I learn from every one of them. And I love collaboration and what it can do personally and professionally for us. So again, I want to thank everybody for being here. I would also like to let you know that I also have a podcast called Pursuing Profit with Principles. And if anybody would like to be a guest on the podcast, I'd be happy to entertain you, having you on the podcast. One other thing I'd like to share with you before we sign off is that I also, in a collaborative venture with a friend in Canada, we have a group that has just recently gotten off the ground called Superpowered Connectors. And it's an opportunity for people to come together who think of themselves as, people who are connectors and collaborators, and to find other people that they may be able to work with, collaborate with. And so it is a networking type event. So you're all invited to that. I'll send you information on both of those. And if you choose to participate, that would be wonderful. Again, thank you, Cody, for being here today, for agreeing to be guest co-host today and inviting this amazing panel of folks. You've all been awesome. I love the work that you're doing. You're really doing great things in the world and changing lives from what I've heard from each of you. Thank you for doing that. That's why we're here, right? To make an impact and to be a part of the ripple effect, to help others make an impact. So thanks so much. And thanks to you. Oh, sorry, Cody, I've cut you off there. Sorry about that.
Oh, I was just saying thank you for having us. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you very much.
It was my pleasure. My pleasure completely.
I just wanted to say one thing to Anita. I wrote this down: collaboration equals strategy built with intention.
Yeah,
That is
was
so powerful. So powerful.
very powerful.
Thank you for sharing that.
I agree. Yeah. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us today, and we hope you'll come back and see us next time on Collaboration Conversations. Bye for now.
Goodbye.